Hi, my name is Colin Doughan. Lynn had asked me to present some business lessons that we can gain from improv comedy. Some quick introductions. This package is going to go, presentation is going to happen in two forms. YouTube complains at me if I try to grab more than about 10 minutes, and I think this presentation will end up being about 15. So about the 7-minute mark, I will pause it, and you'll need to jump into the second version installment of this package for me to present the full thing to you. So just be aware of that. There's also a PowerPoint that goes along with it, so hopefully you have access to that PowerPoint as well. I'll do my best to mention to you as I'm jumping between slides. Some quick introductions. My name is Colin Doughan. I am a past student of Lynn's and a current student of the MBA program at UNO. Some of you may actually finish before I will. I'm definitely on the slow track. While in college, my undergrad, up at Northwestern in Orange City, Iowa, I met my wife. She is a theater major, and as a result, I spent a lot of time with theater people. Surprise, surprise, to be near her. And met some really good friends. And after college, about 7 years ago, they moved down to Omaha to form 88Improv, an improv comedy theater group. And I've assisted with some of the business aspects of that from time to time. And my interactions with them, both in college and since then, have convinced me that there's a lot of lessons that business can gain from improv. And I hope to share a couple of those tonight. So let me give you just a quick overview as to what improv is. Now, from the way Lynn has described it to me, you guys have had some of your reading material has described improv and its applicability to business, but really hasn't gone into a lot of detail to describe how improv can help business and how that can be a tool in your toolkit that you guys can leverage to be able to be successful in business. So I hope to be able to provide some of that today. Improv is basically made-up comedy or made-up theater without a script, where artists rely on each other rather than on a script. I'll get into that a little bit more later on and its importance. For those of you that have seen 88Improv in town, excellent. I'm going to guess that most of you have not. So another example might be Drew Carey had a show several years ago called Whose Line Is It Anyway? There's two forms of improv comedy. One of them is short form, oftentimes played as games. And Drew did a great job hosting a show that talked about this kind of thing, or demonstrated in very funny ways improv comedy in the short form. The long form is similar to a sitcom episode, half an hour in length oftentimes, but everything is made up. And so you'll get inputs from the audience, maybe place, maybe certain character attributes, maybe some random word. They might ask you, name your favorite utensil, and somebody hollers spatula, and so they do 30 minutes of something that has to do with spatula. Oftentimes very, very funny. And oftentimes you're just amazed at the actor's ability to bring all these ideas together, and if they're really good, you stop believing that there's not a script, and you kind of start to wonder if they didn't fake this to be able to come up with all of these funny things to say and bring it all together at the end. Well, what's really happening is that the audience isn't seeing the hours and hours of practice that goes in, not so much in any one script, but in the idea of improv and the undergirding scaffolding or lessons or rules that improv comedy lives by. Those rules have a lot of applicability to business. So over the next couple slides, I will walk you through what some of those rules are and explain at least some of the basic kind of connectors to how you would be able to use them in business. So let's move on now to the first of these. So slide 2 talks about yes and no but. In improv comedy, it's important to be able to take what someone else gives you and build on it. Oftentimes you're using a minimalist set. And so if one actor says to another, "Hi son, would you please pass the ketchup?" For the second actor to then say, "I'm not your son, and we don't have ketchup," instead of the scene starting to build in an interesting way that the audience is excited to participate in, you've lost all momentum when that second actor does that. In theater or in improv, they call that no but, where instead of agreeing with and building on what the first actor has said, you've completely stopped the action. It now would require you to completely start the scene over in some new direction of your divining. That can happen, but from an audience perspective, it totally destroys the mood and the momentum of the scene. And from an actor's perspective, you've just really betrayed your co-actor. They had an idea that they were running with, and now you've basically told them, your idea is no good, and instead you need to follow me and do my idea. That destroys trust, that destroys momentum. It just is bad in a whole bunch of ways. You can see that it's applicable to business in the following way. Everything that I'm going to describe today, these lessons, they're not going to be very valuable to you if all day you're auditing banks or dealing in numbers all day. These things that are yes or no, black and white, if you're checking spelling and grammar for a living, that's not going to be where this is valuable. Where this is valuable is in the creative side, is when you need to create something new that didn't exist before, when you need to work in a team. When you are asked with 3 colleagues to lock yourselves in a conference room with a whiteboard and come up with a solution or a product or a marketing plan that really has never existed before. That's where the power of these ideas comes through, when you need to be the creator and come up with solutions that previously haven't existed. Okay, so that's the first of these. Agree and build. Yes and, not, no but. Listening. Something that we all know we should do better. Even in this presentation, I'm sure some of you are, if this is online, some of you are checking your email while you listen to me, moving on to reading something. Maybe even you've gotten up to get another cup of coffee. How important it is, especially when we are in person, to hear what the other person is saying. In improv, I was talking to the team this week to give me some insights as to what I should be talking about with you guys tonight. 88 was very quick to say that listening is not an opportunity to come up with the next funny thing that you're going to say. During that downtime between lines isn't, I've got to come up with something amazing that make the audience laugh. Instead, they need to be in the moment, a theater term. They need to be absolutely hanging on every word that the person is saying and really responding to that rather than coming up with a pre-canned line. So important when you're working in a group that you are valuing what the other person is providing. You understood that. You're going to see that as a theme through each of these, that in yes and, you're valuing them by taking what they're providing and building on it. In listening, you are valuing them by truly wanting to understand what they are bringing to the table. And the only way you can do that is to truly listen, not just wait to speak. So before I move on to slide 4, I'm going to stop it here, and this will be installment number 1. We will start installment number 2 in just a minute, and that will be starting on slide 4. Hang on.